Assuming that your 401k has a high enough value, and I believe it's around like $300, it's not very high, you're able to technically keep your 401k with the company, your old employer if you'd like, or your second option, which is what I tend to encourage most of my clients to do, is you can roll it over into an IRA. It just depends upon, what kind of, like where you are financially, if it makes sense for you to roll it over, how large your account is at the time and so forth. But it's really easy to move it. It happens every single day, all day long.
Keep in mind, it's yours.
Yes.
That is your money. You're not going to lose it.
The only thing about your 401k that you may want to know, especially before you leave a company, is some companies, they vest. And so when they're matching, like generally you may have to work for 3 years for that money to be matched. So if you're considering leaving it 2.5 years and you only need to work 6 more months for you to get X amount of money, like make sure that you understand when that's happening. Like I'll be honest, I specifically stayed with my first employer to get my matching piece.
That's a really, really important note there that I think should be underlined. My wife ran into the same problem where she got a signing bonus and you had to stay for a year to keep your signing bonus, and you had to stay for X number of years to vest your 401k contributions from the employer. The employer is never going to take away your contributions, but they would take away their contributions. And so this kind of gets into another big, I think, financial topic or financial responsibility topic is when you go and you look at different offers from different employers, make sure you understand what other benefits are coming with those offers. And really make sure that you fully understand that, whether that's IRA contributions, whether that's a signing bonus and how long you need to stay at a company to keep that signing bonus, your vacation policy, PTO policy, sick time policy. The other thing that I think is a really important thing to mention is even just knowing the vacation policy or short-term disability policies if you're planning on having kids and want to take maternity leave and things like that. Some companies, especially if you're working for a smaller company, don't necessarily have great, well-codified maternity leave policies. So I bring up my wife a lot because I think she's really smart in this area, but she did a phenomenal job before we had our first son, figuring out exactly how much time she needed off, how much time she wanted off, planning both financially and for the time to have off from work so that it wasn't a big deal and she could leave, take care of our son for a couple of months on maternity leave and then come back without really missing a beat and without being stressed about how much time you have off of work. So just understand that whole benefit package, I guess, is my point here. It's so important, and it can make a huge financial difference, especially early in your career.
And just to build on that, one of the key differences between companies is that some only offer a 401k savings plan, some offer a pension in addition to that 401k savings plan. So if you can go with a company that offers both of those, when you retire, they give you 2 bags of money instead of the 1.
Your investable assets are going to be in your 401k, potentially your IRA. So how I would be allocating those assets would be in the equity market. Making sure you fully understand, though, that these are assets that you are not intending to be using in the near future. Just want to underline that 7 times.
And you can use really simple tools to try to dampen out the fluctuations of the market. The one thing you can do is with asset allocation, you can have a certain percentage in bonds and a certain percentage in stocks. So, and maintain that percentage. And if the stock market goes up, your percentage of stocks is going to go up. And at that point, like once a year, twice a year, you do what they call rebalancing. So you move some of those stocks into bonds. Or if the stock market goes down, all of a sudden you've got more bonds than you want and fewer stocks. You move from bonds into stocks. It's a really gut-wrenching thing to do because it seems like you're always doing the wrong thing. But in fact, if you follow that strategy rigorously, you are selling high and buying low every time. The other thing you do when you buy every single month, taking a fixed amount out of your paycheck every month, you're doing what's called dollar cost averaging. So that when the market is low, you're actually buying more shares with the same number of dollars. When the market is high, you're buying fewer shares with that same amount of dollars. So between dollar cost averaging and asset reallocation, those 2 tools will help you to keep a balanced portfolio.
I think what he's also, one of the things to highlight then is what you're talking about is also a process and removing the emotion from the markets. So rebalancing between 1 to 2 times a year can add almost 2% to your portfolio, given how young you are. Like that's a lot of money in the end. And I had my financial calculator, could give more precise numbers. And in regards to allocation, when we talk about like the biggest phrase you hear in finance is there's no free lunch. Free lunch is allocation. So at your age, it tends to be like 70% equities, 30% bonds, and then the rebalancing piece itself. Like those are two, like what we call like free things you can do to your portfolio.
You know, keep in mind too, just to help you, typically when you're young, you may not be inclined to go out and engage somebody like Liz and her firm because you think, geez, I have a long time before I get there. But a lot of companies also will provide financial advice by bringing in an independent financial advisor firm. And you can engage them in a number of different ways. So there's help out there for you. Don't be afraid to reach out for it though. Don't, you know, unless you're really in tune to things, I'd highly recommend you engage somebody early on as possible to help you through that process. Because you're probably not going to have the time. That's the biggest thing, the time to keep on top of things.
Sorry, that's a great point about an advisor that the company can help provide. When I owned my company and we provided a simple IRA to our employees, which is I think a little bit more common in a small company size than say a 401k, but in essence they're the same thing. Is that fair to say?
I'm sorry, what?
Simple IRA versus 401k. Yeah, so it accomplishes basically the same thing, but we had an advisor that we were investing through a firm, and our employees could go talk to that advisor and get some advice as to where they should allocate the money that they were putting into that 401k, and other just general financial advice. That was something that the company provided. So that's something, if you work for a really, really small company or a really, really big company, probably that's going to be a resource available to you. Just make sure you ask the question to fully understand how you get to it.
Yeah, I worked for a big company, so we actually offered 3 different types of workshops. We offered an early career financial planning, mid-career financial planning, and late career pre-retirement financial planning. These were 2-day courses that were taught by a financial expert. And we also have a big 5 set of experts that anybody in the company could call at any time for advice.